Welcome to another episode of Terry's Notes, and today we are going to be looking at factorizing quadratics, right? So first thing we need to understand what is a quadratic expression. Now, a quadratic expression is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So for example, if we have something like 2x squared plus 3x plus 1, and this is a quadratic expression, okay? And if we compare this expression with this expression, we can say that a is equal to 2 because a is the coefficient of x squared, and b is equal to 3, and c is equal to 1, right? If we had something like 3x squared minus 6x plus 1, again this is a quadratic expression, in which case the coefficient of x squared is a, and that is equal to 3. The coefficient of the x term, which is b, is equal to minus 6, right? That is this term here, right? And c is equal to 1 in this case. Now, previously in another video we looked at removing brackets or simplifying expressions. So if we had something like 2x plus 1 in one bracket, and we were multiplying by let's say 4x plus 2, okay, and we had to remove the brackets. In this case, we will take this first term and multiply by the first term, which would give us 2x multiplied by 4x gives us 8x squared. Then we have to take this term and multiply it by this term, so 2x multiplied by 2 will give us 4x. Then we have to take the 1 and multiply by the 4x, so we have another 4x. And then we have to take the 1 and multiply it by 2, which will give us 2. So if you notice here, we have 8x squared plus 4x plus 2, and that can be simplified to 8x squared plus 4x will give me 8x plus 2, right? So when we are factorizing a quadratic expression, if we look at this here, this is a quadratic expression, and when you are factorizing, we are moving from this to this, okay? So all the examples we are going to be looking at, we are starting with a quadratic expression and we are factorizing it. Okay, so let's start with the first example. We have x squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay, when we get an expression like this, where do we start? The first thing we need to do is to determine two numbers whose sum is 7 and whose product is 10, right? So we're looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to 7, right? We're looking at the coefficient of the x term, and we're looking for two numbers whose product is equal to AC. And when I say AC, A is the coefficient of x squared, which in this case is 1, right? The coefficient of x squared here is 1, and c is plus 10, which gives us 10, right? So we are looking for two numbers such that the sum is 7 and the product is 10. Okay, so if we have 5 and we have 2, will that give us what we are looking for? 5 multiplied by 2 will give us 10, so therefore it gives us a product of 10, and 5 plus 2 will give us 7, so the sum of the two numbers is 7. So once we get the two numbers, our next step is to do this. we're going to write back x squared. We are going to replace the middle term using these two numbers. So we're going to put x squared plus 5x plus 2x plus 10. Okay, so just to recap what we did. We are looking for two numbers initially that has a sum of 7, which is really the coefficient of x, and the product is AC, which in this case was 1 multiplied by 10. So the sum is 7 and the product is 10. And the two numbers we were looking for are 5 and 2. The next step is to remove the middle term and write it as 5x plus 2x. We got the 5 and the 2 from this. Next step, we need to factorize by grouping. So if we look at the first two terms, we can write x plus 5 plus 2 by x plus 5. Alright, now remember I said what we are doing essentially here is factorizing by grouping. So we have a common factor here of x plus 5 and x plus 5. So we're going to write x plus 5, and what makes up the next bracket will be x plus 2. Right? So this is essentially the steps involved in factorizing a quadratic expression. Let's look at another example. We have x squared plus 10x plus 21. So again, we need to find two numbers whose sum is 10, right? That is the coefficient of x, and whose product is a times c. A in this case is 1, coefficient of x squared in this case is 1, multiplied by c, which is 21. So we are looking for two numbers whose sum is 10 and whose product is 21. Okay, if we think about it, if we have 7 and we have 3, 7 multiplied by 3 will give us 21, so the product is 21, and the sum is 10. 7 plus 3 will give us 10. So these are the two numbers that we are looking for. Right, so our next step is to replace the middle term. So x squared plus 7x plus 3x plus 21. Then we are factorizing by grouping. So if we look at the first two terms, we can extract x, and this will be x plus 7 plus 3 to x plus 7, in which case we have a common factor of x plus 7, so we write x plus 7 x plus 3. Right? Seems straightforward enough until we get some more difficult expressions. Alright, so in this case here we are looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to 8 and whose product is equal to AC. A in this case is coefficient here is 1 multiplied by C, which is 15, which will give us 15. So we need to find two numbers whose sum is 8 and whose product is 15. So let's think about this. If we have 5 and 3, 5 multiplied by 3 will give us 15, and 5 plus 3 will give us 8. So these are the two numbers we are looking for. So we replace the middle term, or the term in x. So it will be x squared plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. Factorizing by grouping now, you can pull out x, and this will be x plus 5 plus 3 into x plus 5. common factor here is x plus 5, so we start off by writing x plus 5, x plus 3, right? We have a one that is slightly different now. We have a minus sign inside this here. So again, we need to find our two numbers first. So the sum has to be 1, because the coefficient of x in this case is 1, and the product is equal to AC, which is A is 1 in this case, multiplied by C. C is minus 6, so this will give us minus 6. So we are looking for two numbers such that the sum is 1 and the product is minus 6. So if we think about it, if we have, let's say, 3 and minus 2, so 3 multiplied by minus 2 will give me minus 6, and 3 plus minus 2 will give me 1. So the two numbers we are looking for are 3 and minus 2. So we replace the middle term again, so x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. So we pull out the x, so we end up with x plus 3. And if we put minus 2 here, we'll end up with x plus 3. Right? This can be a little tricky here. If we pull out minus 2, then we need to put x plus 3, not x minus 3. Because remember, when you are factorizing by grouping, we must end up with two brackets that are very similar or identical. So we have x plus 3 as a common factor. So it'll be x plus 3 into x minus 2. Right? So be very careful with the questions that have a minus sign in them. Okay, so we have another one here now. So we're looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to minus 8. Not just 8, right? It's minus 8. And the product is equal to AC, right? Which is equal to the coefficient of x squared is 1 multiplied by C, which is 15, which is equal to 15. So we need to get two numbers whose sum is minus 8 and whose product is 15. If we have minus 5 and minus 3, minus 5 multiplied by minus 3 will give me plus 15, so that is fine. And minus 5 plus minus 3 will give me minus 8. So the two numbers are minus 5 and minus 3. So replace the middle term, so x squared minus 5x minus 3x plus 15. Now we factorize by grouping, so we pull out the x. This will be x squared minus 5. Right, now we have to determine what sign we're going to put in here. Sorry, this is not x squared, this is x minus 5. Now we need to get minus 3x, so we know we need to put a 3 here, and this has to be x, and this has to be x minus 5. So 3 multiplied by x will give me minus 3x, and 3 multiplied by minus 5, I need to get plus 15. So therefore this has to be a minus sign here and not a plus sign. So we have x minus 5 as a common factor, so it'll be x minus 5 into x minus 3. Right? See this piece here, you need to be very careful with this. But keep in mind, because we are factorizing by grouping, we need to get two factors that are similar. So we must have x minus 5 here and x minus 5 here. Okay, so now we have another expression, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So we are looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to 5 and whose product is equal to AC, which is the coefficient of x squared is not 1 anymore, it's 2. So it'll be 2 multiplied by C, which is 3, which will give me 6. So I am looking for two numbers whose sum is 5 and whose product is 6. So if we have 2 and 3, 3 2s are 6 and 3 plus 2 gives me 5. So I'm going to put 2x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 3. Factorizing by grouping again, we can pull out 2x and this becomes x plus 1 plus 3 into x plus 1. So we have a common factor of x plus 1, so we write x plus 1 into 2x plus 3, right? We have another one here. In this case, the sum is equal to 7 and the product is equal to AC. Coefficient of x squared, is 2 multiplied by C, which is 5. It gives us 10. So we are looking for two numbers whose sum is 7 and whose product is 10. So 2 and 5 will give us what we are looking for, because 2 multiplied by 5 will give us 10 and 2 plus 5 gives us 7. So it'll be 2x squared. We are replacing the middle term, so it'll be 2x plus 5x plus 5, and factorizing by grouping, we pull out 2x, and this will be x plus 1 plus 5 into x plus 1. The common factor is x plus 1, so it'll be x plus 1 into 2x plus 5. Let's do another example with some minus signs. So we have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. So we're looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to minus 5, because the coefficient of x is minus 5. And the product is equal to AC, which is equal to A in this case is 3. Sorry. So it's 3 multiplied by C, which is minus 2, which gives us minus 6. So we are looking for two numbers whose product is minus 6 and whose sum is minus 5. Okay, if we think about this, let's say we have 1 and minus 6. 1 multiplied by minus 6 will give me minus 6. 1 minus 6 will give me minus 5. So the two numbers we are looking for are 1 and minus 6. So we have 3x squared. We are replacing the middle term. So 3x squared plus x minus 6x minus 2. We can pull out x, and this will be 3x plus 1. And then we can pull out 2, and this will become 3x, and we need to have plus 1 here, so 3x plus 1. So therefore we need to put a minus sign here, because minus 2 multiplied by 3x will give me minus 6x, and minus 2 by plus 1 will give me minus 2. So we have a common factor of 3x plus 1 and this will be x minus 2. Okay, and our last one, we are looking for two numbers whose sum is equal to minus 10, whose product is equal to AC, which is equal to coefficient of x squared is 8, so it's 8 multiplied by C, which is minus 3, which gives us minus 24. So we are looking for two numbers that will give us a sum of minus 10 and a product of minus 24. So if we think about this, we can use, let's see, we can use 2 and minus 12. 2 multiplied by minus 12 will give me minus 24, and 2 minus 12 will give me minus 10. So these are the two numbers we are looking for. Now some students might look at this and they might say, well, let's use 6 and 4. But 6 and 4 cannot be right, because 6 4s are 24 and 6 plus 4 is 10. So they might say, well, let's put a minus 6. Minus 6 by 4 will give us minus 24. That is correct. But minus 6 plus 4 gives me minus 2. I'm not getting the minus 10. So this is incorrect, right? If I say use 6 and minus 4, 6 and minus 4, 6 multiplied by minus 4 will give me minus 24, but 6 plus minus 4 will give me 2. I'm looking for a sum of 10. So therefore 2 and minus 12 is the correct one. So we're going to write 8x squared plus 2x minus 12x minus 3. I'm going to pull out 2x, and this will give me 4x plus 1. Alright, I'm going to pull out 3 from this side. This will give me 4x. I need to get plus 1 here. Right? Therefore, I need to put a minus sign inside here. Right? Because I have to get minus 12. So minus 3 by 4x will give me minus 12. And minus 3 by 1 will give me minus 3. So we have a common factor of 4x plus 1. This will be 2x minus 3. Okay, so these are the simple steps to use when trying to factorize a quadratic expression. We usually have to find two numbers whose sum is equal to b, which is the coefficient of the x term, and we need to find two numbers whose product is equal to AC, where a is the coefficient of x squared and c is the constant.